Hey guys, welcome to another Buick Outdoors show. I'm Sheldon Marion. Today I'm going to be making some pepperoni and garlic sausage out of black bear. Alright guys, so the first thing is I didn't record me cubing up all the meat. You really didn't miss much. I did on my last set of days off there. It was on my last day, so I just kind of wanted to get it done and over with. But there's no real particular way of doing it. All you gotta do is just cut it up into kind of 1-inch cubes, or you can do real long strips too, as long as it fits down inside the throat to your meat grinder, as long as it goes in there. So it's roughly 1 inch there. Once it gets down to the bottom there, it kind of narrows down. But anyways, yeah, that's the only thing that you guys are gonna miss on here. I have a batch that's already been ground through the coarse and through the fine. With this one here, everything is just how it is. I ran out of time on my days off, so I just threw it into the bowl, put plastic wrap on it, froze it. It's been thawing now for about 2 days. It was a great big huge block of ice, so it takes a while to unthaw, but we'll get to her here today, and we'll get some good pepperoni and garlic sausage all made up. So if you guys are new to this, you don't need any fancy equipment. This is just one of the cheap little LEM meat grinders. You pick these up at Walmart, Canadian Tire. Doesn't have to be LEM. There's all sorts of different makes, models, companies, whatever. One thing that's an absolute must though is anytime that you're messing with this thing, unplug it. You do not want your fingers anywhere near this little gear, or when everything's put together. You definitely don't want your fingers near the bit, the knives, and all that stuff, because it'll suck your fingers in and your fingers will turn into hamburger, and I don't think any doctor can reconstruct your fingers there. And for guys that say, oh, what a waste of time it is, you know, really, if you're sitting here doing something and you gotta clean that out, you're not saving any time by leaving it plugged in, and you're just kind of being stupid, really. So please, unplug it. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, I'll just start putting this thing together, kind of tell you real quick what everything does. And again, unplug it. So I think this is called the throat, that's what I call it anyways. Put it on, it's a little quarter turn, clicks in. Then you got this piece here. It actually grabs the meat here, and as it spins, it turns it. Then it gets into your knives, which then goes through one of your plates. This is the coarse. This is the fine. And then this one here is what you use when you're stuffing sausage with. So as this thing spins, so it kind of just cuts up your meat a little bit, shoves it through the tubes. And then you got your little end piece that holds everything in. So you got your auger, knives, and then your plate, and then with this one you have this little notch right there, and inside here there's a little pin right there, so you have to just line those up. If it doesn't line up, it won't go in. Grab this, spin her on, and then with this one too, there's this little black knob in the back. You can't really see it, but it will not go anywhere unless you push the black knob. Then it will. But you need that locked in. Last thing is your little hopper that goes on top, and this, you can put it whatever way you want. Everything comes out that way, so I mean, it's whatever. You're the one doing the butchering. If you want to put it that way, give her. I put it this way. Sometimes if my meat grinder's kind of back here like this, and I got my bucket over here, I'll put it like that just so it's kind of easy to get into. You don't have to worry about your hood on your stove if you're doing it there anyways. But for today I'll leave it there. One more safety thing here is when you are putting meat into here, every meat grinder comes with one of these. If you don't have it, go out and buy one. Go outside, cut down a 1-inch willow or 3/4 inch willow, peel the bark off of it, use that, do whatever, because as you're putting meat in here, a lot of times it gets hung up. So you grab this and you go like that. The auger inside can hit this and spin on it all day long, and you keep every single one of your fingers. I've never had this thing kind of get grabbed or pulled in or anything like that, because this isn't quite small enough to get in the veins of that auger. But if it did, who cares? Turn it off, unplug it, whatever's in here, pull it out, clean it out, wash it up, put it back together, start over again, and keep your fingers. Alrighty, and the last thing that you need is just something to catch your meat in. Really, I use a roast pan. I use either a roast pan or a bowl, or a little Tupperware container, rubber tote, whatever works, as long as it gets underneath here so you don't get a bunch of junk spilling out on your cupboard, which isn't a big deal. I mean, you just clean it up. But you know, when you're starting with this stuff, just keep it simple. You don't have to go all out. You don't have to spend the $600-700 on a grinder. This thing, I think now they're like $100 or $120, and really, this one I've had for quite a few years. I've done 12 bear, 4 or 5 deer, 2 moose. You know, it gets the job done. The only reason why I'd ever consider upgrading is just to make it a little bit faster. Other than that, it does a wicked awesome job. Alrighty guys, so before we plug this in and start grinding, I'll tell you what I got in the bowl here. Overall weight, this is 20 pounds. So it's 16 pounds of black bear and 4 pounds of, this is pork belly. Usually I use either pork belly, pork shoulder, pork fat, and there has been times I've used beef trim, and it all works out real good as long as it's about 20% of your overall weight. I go with 20-pound batches because the seasoning and stuff that I buy, the pouches, they're all for 20 pounds of meat. So there's no, you don't have to do any fancy measuring or anything like that, or cut it in half or by third or whatever. You just follow the directions on the package and get to cooking, you know. So it's really easy, it's really simple, and for the most part, all these packaged seasonings and stuff that you buy, it's they're all really good. And with this bear meat too, pretty well every piece looks like this. See, so there's no fat, there's one little tiny piece of silver skin there, and I get rid of all that because that silver skin, the silver skin is what's between each muscle. So if you have a muscle here and the other one on top, right in between those two muscles is where that silver skin is, and it just kind of holds everything together. So it's really real tough and kind of chewy kind of crap there in the middle of it. And then the fat is what holds the bad flavor, and it is also what spoils first in the deep freeze. If you have somebody that says bear meat tastes like garbage, it's because they most likely ate a bunch of the bear fat, or it was a garbage bear or a fish bear or something like that. You know, bears, just like any other animal, they start to taste like what they eat. So if you get a bear that's been in blueberries or in oat field, you know, it's gonna have like a nice sweet taste to it, kind of. If you have a bear that's been eating garbage or on a salmon run, or up here, you know, we get bull trout that run, and the bears start kind of eating them in August. But if you get one of them, you can't really eat them because they taste like fish or they taste like garbage. But with these ones here, just trim all the fat off, trim that silver skin off, and man, they are excellent. They almost taste like moose. It's a really, really good meat. Alrighty, so we are pretty well ready to start grinding here now. We'll plug it in, load up the hopper, and then we'll start grinding. Some people, they'll kind of give this a little mix so it's a little bit more mixed up as you're grinding it, but it really doesn't really matter. I'll grab a couple chunks of fat, throw her in there, grab a handful of meat, toss it in, and then once it's all ground up through your course and it's in your catch tub, then I'll grab it with my hand and just kind of roll it a few times so it mixes up, and then once we're done, I grind it through the fine so it grinds up even smaller. But we'll get to it here. And with these two, they can be a bit loud, so I apologize for that. I don't know, I'll grind for a little bit or whatever, and then I'll turn off the video, and then I'll turn it back on once we get most of it ground up, and we'll go through the next process. Alrighty, so we just finished grinding up the meat and fat mixture there. Took about 15 minutes to do roughly around 20 pounds of it. So now the next thing we'll do is we'll pull this apart. Well, kinda. We'll take the coarse plate out, put in the fine plate, and then we'll grind this all up one more time through the fine. What some people do at this point too is you can make up your sausage mixing, throw it into this, mix it up real good, and then grind it so when it gets mixed extremely well. But I've done it that way. I've also put it through the fine grind and then put the sausage mixing in it, and I haven't really noticed a difference, but you know, personal preference. Whatever you guys decide to do is what you do. Alrighty, so we got it unplugged. It won't turn on. We're good to go. So to disconnect this, give that a spin. Then here's your plate. Grab your fine plate, and the junk and stuff that's in here, a lot of times what I do is I just pull the knives out, and the stuff that's right here, I'll kind of clean that up, because it's a little too thick. Well, no, it will go through the fine, but it's hard on the motor, so you don't want to burn out your motor on your grinder. So take that out, toss it in the trash, grind it if you like to. If it wasn't bare, I'd probably just feed it to my dogs, to be honest with you. But I give the knives just a real kind of quick clean up. Nothing too fancy. You give her 5 minutes here and she'll be back to being dirty again. But just get this other stuff out of the way. Alrighty, put the knives in. fine plate. Remember the little notch there? You can kind of see it. And right here is where that little pin is. There we go. Put this back on. And we're good to go. One thing I want to tell you too, every once in a while when you're doing this, when you go and you pull that stuff out, you might see a little bit of black stuff. What it is in the very far back in here in these gears, there's food grade grease. According to the people that make the stuff, it's perfectly fine if you do happen to eat it. If I do see it though, I do pick it out, just in case. But if you miss it, I don't think it's going to hurt you. I'm sure I've missed it quite a few times. But yeah, now we are good to go. We can start grinding this into our fine mixture. Alright, so we transferred all of our coarse meat back into the bowl. One thing I like to use here is just like a regular old big kitchen spoon. It's a lot easier just to kind of scoop this stuff into your hopper instead of using your hands. When you use your hands, it gets all over the place, kind of a bit messy. But we'll plug it back in. I'll put a couple spoons into the hopper there, grind her up, turn the camera off again, then pick back up once we get it all ground up. We got all of our coarse all ground up. It's all into this real nice fine grind here now. What we'll do is we'll take this apart, pull all the meat out and stuff, throw that into our little meat bucket there. We'll mix up our garlic sausage mix, and then we'll get it chilling in the fridge. That way the meat absorbs as much as possible. And we also have the other batch that's already in the fridge that needs to be mixed up. That'll be pepperoni. So we will unplug the meat grinder, start cleaning it up, and then we'll get making our sausage mix. Alrighty. Unplug her. Test her a couple times. Nothing turned on. Clear that out of the way, spin this off. Pull out the plate, pull out the knives. See, and on these knives too, a lot of times you'll get kind of the stringy stuff. Kind of gets wrapped around there. With that, I'll throw that away. And then I also pull the whole auger out. And that's that grease I was telling you about. So every once in a while you get a little bit that'll slip in there. But yeah, while this is out, I grab a paper towel and I just kind of wipe it off. Get it all nice and clean. Yeah, it doesn't take much. And you're pretty well back in business there. Alright, so the auger's back in. Put the knives in. This one here, this is like the this is the sausage stuffing one. And then you need to put this back on, and then on the inside lip you can see some meat there. It kind of collects. Run your finger and you get it all out. That way you create a nice seal in there. So and then this here, this is your actual sausage stuffing tube. They come in all sorts of different sizes. This is just kind of the general size one. With this you can stuff the big 2-pound and 1-pound sausage casings. You can get the hog casings on here, but if you want the small collagen ones or the smaller pepperoni casings, which is like sheep intestine instead of hog, you need the much smaller diameter one because it just won't quite fit over that. It definitely won't fit over here because you can see it's kind of tapered, eh? But with this here, you just take her, put her inside like that. And you spin her on, and now you're good to go to start stuffing your casings. But before we do that, we will get this mixed up with our garlic sausage mix, and then get her cooling off. Alrighty, so when it comes time to pick your seasoning, there is hundreds and hundreds of choices. Whether you're making a hot Italian sausage, this one here is trail bologna, there's salamis, garlic, you know, it's whatever lunch meat you can buy at the store is pretty well the kind of packages of this seasoning that you can get. Some of them, like this one here, this is High Mountain seasoning. This is a kit, same thing as this one here. This is LEM Backwoods kit. They both come with seasoning, they both come with cure, and they also both come with the casings. This one, I think it comes with the collagen casing, so it's kind of like this stuff here. It's kind of like a paper wrap kind of stuff almost. This one is a 32mm tube, so that it'll fit on the grinder that I have. This one, it comes with the 1.5 inch by 12 inch clear fibrous casings. So that would be these ones here. You can kind of see it dang light. But with these fibrous casings, you can also get the darker ones. And it doesn't matter which one you use. They both do the job. With these fibrous ones though, they are the casings that when you go to eat your meat, you have to peel it off. These collagen ones, they're all edible. Another size of these collagen, if I'm even saying it right, are these ones here. They're the really, really small diameter for like kind of pepperoni sticks. And then also there is hog casings. This one is LEM hog casing. So hog casing is just the intestines that's been rinsed out real well. And then these, they're in like a salt water pack, and they're all vacuum sealed, ready to go. So when you use hog casings, you take them out, you rinse them. It says right on here what to do with them. I think you rinse them for 30 minutes or so. Yeah, so you just flush with water, and then soak in warm water for 30 to 60 minutes. These ones, it's kind of the same thing. With these, you just soak them in warm water for about half hour. With these ones, though, these collagens, I'm actually not too sure because I've never really used them all that much. It just says do not soak in water. So maybe I used them right the first time I used them. I just put it on the little stuffing tube and started using them. So yeah, I guess maybe there's just enough moisture in the meat itself to soften them up. But yeah, when you go to use this stuff, like all the directions are usually just right on the back of the package. Same with this one. The only thing that you have to be careful with too is, well, these two, they look the same size. This one says right there, seasons 5 pounds of meat. This one says it right there, will season 20 pounds of meat. So just gotta be careful over that. It also tells you how much water to put in it, how much fat to put in it, the mixture and all that good stuff. So they're really dummy proof. This is all that I ever use with my stuff, and everybody says it always turns out real good. So yeah, it's all up to you what kind of seasoning that you want. I think with this one too, the High Mountain stuff, you get a pack of seasoning and you get a pack of cure. LEM and stuff, I think they're combined. I'd have to double check. But with High Mountain, you put in your seasoning and then you put in the recommended amount of cure. That cure also is where most of the salt is. So if you are like me and you don't really like salty stuff, just put less cure in it, and it turns out real well. Alrighty, well, I better get to it. Today we'll be using this one. So I will start reading the directions so I don't screw up, and we'll get this garlic sausage on the go. Alright you guys, so we're going to be using this Wild West European garlic seasoning. What it's telling me here on the back is mix the cure and seasoning together in 1 quart of water. So I got my 1 quart of water. There's a little package of cure. And there's the seasoning inside. Might not be able to see that. And we're mixing it with 20 pounds of meat. So we put the whole thing in. One thing you can do, if you're just doing, say 10 pounds, dump this into a measuring cup, and I'll say it's whatever, a cup of seasoning. Just use half a cup, and pretty simple that way. Then the cure. The cure is pretty important if you're going to be smoking it, because it's, I don't know if this one is sodium nitrate or not, but all it is, it's a preservative for when you're smoking it for the most part, because you're cooking it at very, very low temperatures for a long time, so it creates a perfect habitat for for bacteria to grow. Anyways, give this a mix with a whisk. You can use a whisk, you can use a blender, spoon, fork, whatever. I like using a whisk because it just hits all the clumps, makes it so it's nice and smooth. There we go, I think that should be about good enough. I'll just get this stuff out of the way. Give it one more, kind of scrape the sides, make sure you get it all. Smells pretty good. And then with this here, you can buy big meat mixers. They're pretty well just a big tub, and inside they kind of have these big veins. You throw this in it, throw in your seasoning, and it's either a hand crank or it hooks up to a grinder. And all it does is just kind of mixes the meat for you. Me, I just mix it by hand. Got a bunch of that stuff all sunk to the bottom. There we go. I'll be able to rinse that out and use that for pepperoni. Alright, so you got nice clean hands. Take off my watch. Sometimes I wear gloves when I'm doing this just to keep my hands a little bit cleaner. That's usually only if, you know, if I'm busy doing something else, but today it's just this. So if the phone rings, well, go to voicemail. Somebody comes at my door, well, come on in. So you just kind of mix her all up good. If you do your own mixes, a good rule is kind of 1 ounce of water per pound of meat. With this here, it's 32 ounces of water for 20 pounds of meat. So that just kind of tells you that there's a little bit more salt in this. And I just keep going until it's mixed up real well. Really no time to it, just until you think it's good enough or until you get tired or whatever. You just want to make sure it's mixed good. Kind of sucks if you're eating something and there's hardly any flavor to it, and then all of a sudden you take the next bite and it's kind of a slap in the face of garlic or pepper or whatever it is that you made. Also, if you make your own, or if you want to tweak it a little bit, don't be afraid. Like, if you want to make this like a, I don't know, like a cheesy jalapeno garlic sausage, grab a bag of shredded cheese and a can of sliced jalapenos, throw it into the grinder before you do your fine grind and grind it into the meat. Mix it up a bit. So pretty well, once it kind of gets around this part here where it's kind of starting to turn into a bit of a paste almost. See, you know, it's soaked up all that water. It's soaking up all the seasonings. Everything is getting mixed up real well, and it's pretty well good enough. So I'll put some plastic wrap on this. Put it into the fridge for, I don't know, however long it takes to mix up the pepperoni. I think, you know, maybe 20 minutes if that. And then we'll get to stuffing it. Alrighty, now we are on to the pepperoni. Again, this one is Wild West pepperoni seasoning for 20 pounds of meat. This one here, it's the same thing. Mix the cure and seasoning together in 1 quart of cold water. So we got our water here. There we go. Pull out our our cure. There's the seasoning for you. Oh yeah, this up here, that smells pretty good. Oh, it's already making my mouth water. Oh, that stuff smells awesome. Dump in the cure. And we mix. Now this stuff here, it mixes up real good. It doesn't take long at all to dissolve everything. There's no clumps. The only thing that's kind of in here is just the, there's some seeds in there. But that's just part of the seasoning. So I'll grab our big tub of meat that I ground up about a week ago. And you might run into a problem. It might still be frozen down the bottom there, or in the middle, but I guess I'll find out here. Should have maybe used a bit of a bigger container for mixing this up, but oh well. I think what I'll have to do is I'll mix this up. Once it soaks up some of the water, I'll dump the rest of it in. There's still quite a bit left. Oh no, it's not frozen, it's just damn cold. Whew. There we go. Make a little bit more room. Oh, it is frozen. Uh-oh. One little ball of frozen stuff right there. Then once I get this mixed up, I'll put this back in there too. I just need more room for the seasoning to get in there. There, put some over there too. We'll get it figured out. Alrighty, now this here, it's going to be the same process as the garlic sausage. Just mix it all up until it soaks up all the water and soaks up all the seasoning. And then it is a good idea to let it cool in the fridge for a little bit, just so when it really soaks in all the juices and all the flavors. But if you're in a hurry, you know, as soon as it's done mixing up, if you want to start running it through the grinder and start stuffing tubes, you can do that. But it's all up to you. Again, it's all personal preference. That's part of the fun with this. You're making it for you, not somebody else, so do what you like. If there's one person who's picky, don't cater the entire batch to that one person. If they don't like it, well, you made it for you, not them. You kind of get to be a little selfish with it. Alrighty, so we got the pepperoni all done up and finished and sitting there in the fridge now. So now we'll open up our LEM hog casings. We have to rinse them out. Usually, I've never tried these ones before. Usually I just buy ones from the butcher block or from, well, any butcher really, and they just come on certain lengths. And you just rinse them out with a little bit of water, and then you let them soak for a little bit until they're real soft and you can move them around real easy and they're kind of stretchy. And then I put them onto the tube and start stuffing them. So that's probably what I'll do with these, as long as they soften up real quick. It says soak in warm water for 30 to 60 minutes, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't think you need to soak them that long, but we'll see. I'm cheating. There, faster. So the little orange loop here, that'll just, like the end or the start, whatever you want to call it, that'll be tied onto that. So now that we got it open there, see if I can't get some water to go in. It's trying. And you always wanna rinse this stuff out, not just to get the salt out, but it's also a pig's intestine. So in the factory or butcher or wherever that they rinse this out, if they missed a piece, you're gonna eat it if you don't rinse it. I'd rather not eat poop. You know what? I'm gonna try something else. There. There, that worked good. There we go, and I won't lose my end. If you run into a snag like this, you can always just cut it. You just have a shorter piece. Or you can just kind of give her a shake, waddle, whatever. Might actually work here. Oh. Well, we got one length. Leave that one draped over the side. Maybe I'll take this and throw it into a bowl of water. And then that way we'll have at least one done. It's quite a bit there. A couple of pounds of meat will fit into there anyways. Alrighty, well, I'm going to keep rinsing all of this out. So I'm going to turn off the camera. I don't think you guys want to keep watching this. Pretty boring stuff. But anyways, I'll turn off the camera, get a bunch of this rinsed out. And then when I fire back up, we'll put some onto the tube and start stuffing that, that garlic sausage into this. So our sausage casing, it should be good to go. I have a couple of lengths in a bowl here, all set up and ready to go. It's all been rinsed out real well. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it onto the stuffing tube, and then I'll load up the hopper with our garlic sausage, and then I'll start stuffing. One thing I always use is either some kind of a cookie sheet like this, or a pizza pan or something, just for your sausage to kind of fall onto as you're stuffing it. But anyways, I'll get this going. Try to find the end again. One thing that helps too when you're putting it onto your tube is if you get just a little bit of water in here, not much. If you put too much in, I mean really you just run her down to the bottom, but it just helps it slide on. So you just kind of get your fingers in there, open her up, get her onto the tube here, and you kind of want to go as far up as possible as you can, because you're trying to get all of this onto here as much as possible anyways. Now before I tie up the end here, I'll run a little bit of meat through it, just so in that way if there's any crap or whatever built up in here. It pushes it through. And then also, mainly, is because you get rid of the air. Otherwise, when you go to twist this up, you have a great big air pocket and good chance it'll pop. So I'll get this all loaded up. And again, I just use a little spoon for this. Makes things a little easier. You can see how it all kind of turned out. No longer red, it's kind of turning a bit of a brownish color from all the seasoning and the cure and all that good stuff. And it's kind of, it gets sticky, you know, so now it's a bit of a slower process stuffing this. You can also get sausage stuffers. They're pretty well just a big cylinder. They come in all sorts of different sizes, and you fill it up, and then it's just a big hand crank, and then it has the same type of stuffing horn here. But with those ones, one of these days I might buy one. They look pretty handy to have, but for now I'm gonna keep using this whole thing. So we'll plug her back in, and once as I get this going here, I'll push out whatever's there, and then I'll tie it off. And then as you're stuffing it, you pretty well just want to hold it here, and you either control how much goes into your casing by how fast you put it down into your hopper, or you just loosen or tighten the tension on your fingers. I use just my thumb and forefinger and just kind of do that kind of thing. Other than that, there's not a whole else to tell you. There's no fancy knot they have to do on here. I just do 2 little granny knots. If you don't know what a granny knot is, it's that first little crossover knot that you do when you're tying up your shoes. Just one lace over the other, pull tight. Alrighty, we'll get her going. Alright, so you get rid of all that stuff. And just do your little granny knot. And now we are good to go. So if you have something like this that happens here, pretty well just a great big huge air bubble, you can take a toothpick or a knife, and just make a tiny little pinhole. There we go. Then all that air should escape. So as you're going, you don't want to stuff these overly too full, because if you put them too full, they'll just break and burst. But you can see we're having kind of some issues here with the air, but every once in a while we'll just stop, prick it either with the knife or with a toothpick. I think I'll grab a toothpick and do it. Makes a bit of a smaller hole. Alrighty, well, I'm going to keep stuffing this here, and then once we have a big coil done, or once this length is done, I'll fire up the camera again and show you guys what we got. Okay, well, we ran out of room on our baking sheet here, and we got just a little bit left on here, but that's fine. We can pull that off. We'll tie it off here, and then this will just go into the fridge and start to cool down. And again, with this here, when you go to tie it off, it doesn't have to be anything real fancy. I just kind of push whatever I can down in there. Then just do a couple of little granny knots. I'm sure there's probably some fancy butcher's knot or something like that you can do, but for me, I just give her one or two of them. Call it good enough. Don't need that. And there you have it. There's our first big coil. Jeez, burrs. There's our first big coil of garlic sausage. Alrighty, so we're all done with the garlic sausage. That's all done and in the fridge cooling now. We're going to be moving on to next is our pepperoni. I got two of these fibrous casings. These ones are 2.5 by 20 inch that I'll be filling up. When you fill these, you don't fill them right to the very top, because you need, about 2 inches there, just so you can pinch it. You twist it up and then you tie it with butcher twine. With these, you have to soak them in warm water for about 30 minutes. That way it just kind of loosens them up, makes them easier to work with, and you don't tear them. They're almost big enough where you could open them up and just spoon feed your meat into there, but they're not quite wide enough for that. So you just kind of throw them on just like you would with your hog casings, and then pretty well just start stuffing them. So I'll get the hopper all filled up here, and we'll get going. Alright, that's about all I can fit in there. Oh, dropped my little tack. So now what you want to do, you want to grab the top, and I made little pinholes. There's probably about 6 of them in here now, and that'll help with a lot of the air is getting out. So you want to pinch the top and just spin it a little bit. And as you spin it, it tightens right up, see? And now I'll just grab a little piece of butcher twine that I forgot to cut, and I'll just tie it off here. So I'll tighten her up here. sure there's other knots that a guy could use. And there you go. Pepperoni. Hey guys, welcome back. Today is day 2 of the bear butchering process. Yesterday we were up fairly late getting everything stuffed into the casings, and today we'll be cooking it up in the Bradley smoker. It's about a 6 to 8 hour process. I put her in the smoker for 2 hours, and then from there I go and I finish it either in the oven or in the smoker itself with the heating element in there. I'll do 2 hours at 180, 2 hours at 200, and then I finish it at 220. Usually it takes 2 hours, but it all depends. Anyways, we'll jump into this. I'll show you the smoker, some of the pucks that I use, and the setup that I use. Alright guys, so this here is the Bradley 6-rack smoker. You can get them in the 6-rack and the 4-rack. If you're new to this, I kind of wouldn't recommend this one because they are very expensive. This one here, I think they're around $500 to $600. I started out with one of those Big Chief smokers. It worked excellent until one day I was shoveling and I cut the cord on it, and that's why I bought this one. Otherwise I'd probably still be using that one. And those ones are very inexpensive too. But with this one here, I'll open her up and I'll show you all the racks in there, and then how I like to set it up, because I can double the capacity the way that I do it. So instead of having 6 racks, I get 12 out of it, and all it is you can pretty well fit, I should be able to fit all that garlic sausage in there, and we got a lot of garlic sausage. But I'll get to it here. I'll show you guys how I do it. Alrighty guys, let's see here. So inside you have your 6 racks. They're not in there right now, they're all inside, but what I've done is I went out and you can buy more racks. These ones here, the holes are much smaller compared to the original ones. I bought these just for the jerky gun. I can show you that too, I guess. But what I do when I'm doing a lot of smokies and such is I'll take them and I'll put kind of a couple links right there, and then I'll take a rack and I'll put it upside down, and then you can put 2 more there. When you're running a Bradley smoker, make sure your little bowl of water down there is in it. That way when the pucks come off the heating element, they drop into here, and instead of burning and you get a real burnt taste, you'll just continue to get that smoky flavor. Other than that, these things are very, very straightforward. You turn them on. This here turns on the smoker. This turns on the oven. You set your oven temp. You can set your timer on either one too. So if you only want to smoke for an hour, you set that to 60 minutes. If you want to have the oven on for 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever, you just set it that way. And then on top, you have this little vent right here. Lots of people say it's to control the smoke, which it kind of does, but it's mainly to control your moisture. So when you're smoking, all the moisture is trying to come out of your sausage. If you keep this closed, it'll stay a lot hotter in here just from the pressure of the steam. So when you open it up, obviously all that steam and moisture, it goes out, so you lose a lot of the steam, heat, and the pressure. There isn't a lot of pressure, but I mean, every little bit helps. Keeps everything nice and moist when you're cooking it. Other than that, we will head back inside and I'll show you some of the pucks that I use. Alrighty, so here's some of the pucks I got. These ones are hickory. We got maple. That one's oak. Get this stuff out of the way. We have a little special blend, more hickory, apple, maple, and a lot of it, if you just want one overall good one, I'd just say either hickory or alder. You can't really go wrong with that. Some have a little bit of a sweeter taste than others, like the apple has a sweet taste, the cherry has a sweet taste, maple has a bit of a sweet taste. This special blend, it's, I don't know, it's not too bad. But it's all kind of just personal preference. You can try different ones. You can do, you know, 1 puck of hickory, 1 puck of apple, and mix it up. It's all up to you guys how you want to do it. But now we'll move on to the garlic sausage, and I'll show you the links that I make. To make sure that we get the proper size, bring in one of your racks with you. This one here, it is about 10 inches wide here. So what we'll do is we'll grab a chunk of sausage and we'll make it so it's about 20 inches long. Then that way we have that real nice kind of, whatever you want to call it, traditional garlic sausage look. Kind of like what you see in the store. So here's one. We've been refrigerating it overnight. You can see it has a real nice color to it now. And what we want to do, see that one there, it almost fits just perfect the way it is, but oh yeah, we can just squeeze that one in. There. Not much to that one. We might be able to put 3 on here if we move this over. One thing that you can do too is you can take like a cooking spray or olive oil on a rag or something and give this a real good wipe. That way nothing sticks to it. I might do that with the next one. This one I think I'm just gonna chance it just to kind of see what happens. And we'll grab another one. Again, I coiled these all up so they sit nice in the fridge. I'll have to cut that off, but that's no big deal there. There you go. And if you want, I mean, you can take it, go like that, and then pinch it here, because that's kind of where you want it to be at. Then if you just twist them 2 or 3 times, and then you get this here, and you can just cut it right there, and it should hold together. If it doesn't, don't worry about it too much. You can always tie it off or do whatever you like there. And you can use scissors, you can use a knife. Let's see what happens. So far it's holding together, so we'll throw her on here. And you don't want these to be touching, as long as there's, you know, a little bit of room just so smoke can go up and through it. If it's touching, right there where it touches, it will not smoke and it will not cook. If I do that, get just enough room in there. Then we'll see if this one fits there. Look at that. Perfect. So now this one here, that's ready for the smoker. And I'll do this to, I guess, 11 more racks. Holy cow, that's a lot. But whatever. Yeah, so 11 more racks. And then we'll get the smoker turned on. Some people like to use a pre-smoked smoker, so that means you have it right full of smoke before you put this in, or you put this in there and then you turn on the smoke. I've done it both ways, and I don't know, I really haven't noticed any difference. I think it's just the way that you're taught. But it's all up to you. Do what you like. Anyways, I'll get to it here, and I'll turn the camera back on once we're ready to start throwing all this stuff into the smoker. Alrighty, you guys. Well, I didn't have to use all 12 racks. Only had to use 7. But still, that's a whole pile of garlic sausage in there. That's gonna be real good. With garlic, you know, it has a bit of a strong flavor to it. So I'm gonna kind of offset that with the maple pucks. It'll give it just a tiny little bit of a sweet taste to it. But I'll get the pucks all loaded up, smoker turned on, and then we'll get to smoking this. It's gonna be real good. Alright, so to load these up, you just grab a couple of them, put them into the top, slide them down, let them go. Then when you first turn it on, the heating element, it's back over here. So you have inside you have a little slider that moves back and forth, and that's what pushes the pucks. So right now, instead of having a puck right here, it'll be about here. Well, maybe about here. So now we'll turn it on again, or push the wood forward button. So now the slider will move, it'll push another puck in, it'll move that one to the next step. Then if we do it one more time, it'll put it on her. And now this puck here, it's on that heating element. In the back, that's your oven element, but I don't turn that on just quite yet. And then with this too, a lot of times I won't put that on there right away. We'll just take that off. So that way the heating element is hot when that first puck goes on. Then that way it'll start to smoke right away. Otherwise, this one here, by the time that's hot enough to start smoking, it'll be in your bucket of water, and you'll just be wasting a puck. So put that back in there, and that just automatically comes on a 4-hour timer. With this here, it's either going to be wide open or half. I think with this today I'll put about half, right about there, and I'll just leave it like that for the entire time. And now we pretty well wait. I can see this from the kitchen window, so once it starts to smoke, will come out, and I'll set the timer to probably 2 hours. Alrighty, so we've had the smoker on now for a couple of hours with the oven set on 140. So now we're going to open it up and see what it looks like inside. Oh yeah, it's looking real nice. You can see there all the moisture's kind of trying to escape. So it looks like that. We can open this wide open, and then this will it'll brown up a little bit better. I'm just checking the temperature, see if they're pretty well the same from the top and bottom. If they're not, I'll switch them up. But they're pretty damn close. What I'll do now is I'll turn the oven temperature probably to 180 and have that on for about an hour, and then we'll come out and check on it, and then by then we might have to finish it in the oven. Alright, so there's the timers, the temperature, then the oven. So this will set the smoke timer back up to 1 hour. We'll set the oven timer to 1 hour. Set the oven temperature. We'll set that to 160. And there we go. Pretty well walk away. We might have to add a couple more chips in there. They only burn for about 20 minutes. So we'll need probably a couple more anyways. So I'll grab a couple more wood pucks there, put them in there, and then we'll be good to go. Now I just got all moved into the oven here, and I'll be turning the oven on to 200, and then I'll have that on for about 2 hours, and then once that comes up, then I'll switch it to about 220 until it's done. I got one of these fancy little digital things here. I have it set up so when it hits 160 Fahrenheit, it'll go off. What I used to use was just one of these. The problem with one of these is every time you poke it, you know, the temperature will come up if you're not quite there, up to temp. You pull it out, all your juices kind of run out. And then, you know, you kind of start to run into having dry meat, and it's not that great. So hopefully this works. If it doesn't, it was 40 bucks. So I mean, you're not out overly too much money, but it is from Bradley, so it should be good. I read the instructions, so I don't know. I'm hoping I set it up properly. Anyways, we will let that cook, and we'll get on to the pepperoni. These strings here that come attached on these fibrous casings, I use them to hang up, or to hang them up in the smoker. Another thing I want to show you are these little S-hooks that I got. You can buy the little meat S-hooks from Bradley or from a butcher or whatever, but all I did was I just went to kind of Canadian Tire, Walmart, PV Mart, wherever, and you just buy these, and there's 30 of them, and it was only like $5 or so. And all I did was I just bring them home, throw them into some hot water with a little bit of soap, wash them real good just to get rid of any metal filings or oils and stuff like that, and then that's all I use to hang them. And then to hang them, just put it in through that little piece there below your knot. Then you have your last hook there. So then in the smoker you'll have your rack in there, and then this way when you put it on, you know, you got enough room to put 3 for sure. You might be able to fit 4 with these smaller ones. And then worst case scenario too, you can take these and lay them lengthwise too. So I mean, really, if you put this on probably the second shelf in that Bradley smoker, you could have 4, maybe up to 6 laying down on here, and then I don't know, 3, 6, 9, almost 12 hanging down. So you can get a lot just with one rack in there if you're hanging them. Alrighty, well, we finally got the pepperoni loaded up into the smoker here. What I did with this one is I used 2 racks up here just because there's so much weight hanging down from all these. And then with the S-hooks I put them through both racks. That way it doesn't bend the crap out of one of them and kind of wreck it or whatever. Then the smoker, we turn the smoker on for 2 hours. And we got the oven on, or the heating element on, for 2 hours at 140. What I might do is switch it so it's on for an hour at 140, and then an hour at 160. And then once it hits 160 for that hour, we will finish it in the oven. Well, there you have it. It's telling me that it's It's at 160 degrees. Then I bumped it up to 162. And now it's going off again, so it should be good. Woo. A little steamy, but oh yeah, that stuff looks good. Well, I'm just gonna double check it with my other little thermometer there, just to make sure. Perfect, just a hair over 160 there. And that's almost telling me, oh there, that's almost 170. But I might be able to show you here why I don't like using this one, because every time you pull it out, oh, might need two hands. So you can see all the juices coming out already. See, so when you do that every single time, you know, you lose a lot of that moisture. But they are definitely done, so we will pull these out, and won't be too much longer, and we'll be throwing the pepperoni in here. Alright, look what we have done here today. Woo. That's gonna be good. I don't know how many I haven't counted them yet. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, so now once you pull it out of the oven, the best thing to do is just let it sit, let it cool down. Absolute best thing to do is to put it into your refrigerator. So once I get one of my baking sheets all cleaned up here, I'll transfer it over. And yeah, pretty well just wait till that pepperoni's done smoking, and we'll be doing the same thing with the pepperoni. Alrighty, well, we've had the pepperoni in here now for a few hours. We had it on the smoke for 2 hours, and we had the temperature setting at 140, and then we upped the temperature to 180, and it's been in there for another 2 hours. So that's looking pretty good. Now we'll take it all inside, and we'll finish it in the oven. We'll start it at 200, and I'll probably just leave it at 200. That's what I did with the garlic sausage anyways. I didn't have to bring it up to 220. So we will start packing all this in to the house, turn on the oven, and we'll finish it up. Well, now they're all in the oven here. Last thing I gotta do is just put our little digital thermometer into one of them. I'll probably just pick one of these bigger ones here down below, and then pretty well just wait until they're finished. And then once the thermometer goes off, we'll double check it with that second thermometer, just to make sure that they are all done up, and then we'll be done with the pepperoni. Well, while we wait for that pepperoni to be done, what we can do is start getting these vacuum wrap bags done up. I don't know how many times I've seen people, they get to this point and then they kind of cheap out. Whether they just throw it into like a Ziploc bag and call it good enough or what. But I mean, if you're going through all this time and energy and effort to make this stuff and it tastes great, you know, why not make it so it actually lasts a while. Most of these, they just come in these big rolls, and then you have to make your own bags up. So what I'll do is, there's always these lines on the bags. So I like to make the same size bags for everything. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll roll it out flat like that. And then I'll just grab one and just place her on it. So when you're doing this, when you make a bag, you have to put the bottom here so it seals it. And I always like to give it, you know, a little bit of extra space. And then when you do it up top, you also need this little bit of space here as well. Otherwise, it doesn't quite vacuum and seal properly. So looking at this, if I cut it off at this line, that'll give me about that much room to do the seal, and then I'll have this little bit of extra space here for doing the vacuum and then the sealing. What I might have to do is just go one more line here, but what I'll do is I'll cut this bag here, make a bag out of it, vacuum wrap it, see how good it works, and if I need to make them bigger, I'll go that 1 extra inch. Alright, so I cut the bag, then you see this little line right here. That's from just putting it in here and then clicking the seal. Then that way you start to form the bag. And then I'll show you why we need that little bit of extra space up top. So if you give yourself plenty of room, it makes it a lot easier. If your bag was cut a little bit lower, then it'd be right here, which I think would still make a seal. But sometimes you end up just throwing bags out or wasting them and having to cut another one. But anyways, put her into your little vacuum slot there, close her up, push on both sides, make sure it's locked in, and then just hit this little vacuum button. And sometimes it doesn't quite get a proper seal there. That's why when I pulled on it there, then the seal light came on. And then there you go. Another good thing with leaving so much extra space up here is it gives you somewhere to write. Because trying to write on these little crinkles and ribs and stuff, it just makes it messy. I mean, it's not going to affect your meat at all, but anyways, there you have it, and that's pretty well all there is to it. Well, here it is, guys. This is all the finished product that we made. We ended up with 19 of our garlic sausage. We had 8 of our small pepperoni, and then 6 of our real big pepperoni. Anyways, I just want to thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you give this a try. It's a lot of fun and it's really rewarding, just like hunting is too. I mean, if you're not a hunter, you know, get in touch with somebody that is and see if they'll take you out on a chicken hunt or rabbit hunt, you know, to kind of start you off. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm on my way out the door to see if I can do another spot and stalk on a black bear, this time with my bow. And I guess we'll see you on the next video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and also check me out on Facebook. I'm on Buick Outdoors, and also on Instagram. Thanks.